The views and opinions expressed by the host do not necessarily state or reflect those of the company and its management. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the guest do not reflect those of the host, the show, the management, and the network.
Hearts that listen. Sama-sama sa TLC.
Leader sa bahay, leader sa eskwela, leader sa simbahan, leader kahit saan. Pag-uusapan natin dito, Hearts That Listen, Friday edition with Team Jhong. My name is Cheryl Bilog Magdaheren or Doc Cheng ng Magdaheren Bilog Research and Training Consultancy. Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Bago tayo magpahinga ngayong gabi, bago tayo matulog ngayong gabi, pag-uusapan natin, we will close this 8 stages of life or healing 8 stages of life na pinag-uusapan natin lagi dito every Friday night, 8:30 to 9:30. So, samahan niyo ako, isang oras ito na pag-uusap. Now, because we've been talking about leadership, ano ang koneksyon nitong topic na ito sa leadership? Sabi nga natin, isa sa mga pinakamahirap na formahin or very difficult to be formed is not the plant, is not a plant, but the human person. Mysterious ang buhay ng tao at kung gusto natin na maging isang mabuting leader tayo, dapat wala tayong bitbit. Ano yung ibig sabihin ng mga bitbit? Mga back subjects in life, no? Lalong-lalo na itong stage na pag-uusapan natin ngayong gabi. Ito yung adulthood, 36 to 65 years old, and old age. Ayan, after 65 years old. Ito yung pang-7 at pang-8 stages of life according to Erickson. Last 3 weeks ago, napag-usapan natin, review ko lang infancy until age 2, early childhood, ages 2 to 3 or age 2 to 3, play age 3 to 5, school age 6 to 12, adolescence, age 12 to 18, young adulthood, age 19 to 35, adulthood, age 36 to 65, at ito na, old age after 65. Bawat stage may kanya-kanyang psychological crisis. Example, itong infancy, basic trust versus basic mistrust. Ang early childhood naman, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Play age, initiative versus guilt. School age, industry versus inferiority. Adolescence, identity versus identity confusion. Young adulthood, intimacy versus isolation. Adulthood, generativity versus stagnation. Old age naman, integrity versus despair. Meron ding virtue ang bawat stage. Ibig sabihin, yun sana yung na-cultivate sa atin nung tayo ay dumaan sa ganyang stage. Hope for infancy, will for early childhood, purpose for play age, competence for school age, fidelity for adolescence, love, young adulthood, care for adulthood, and wisdom for old age. Kung ikaw ay gustong lumago sa buhay, gustong maging mature, no? I-review lang natin ito ng i-review at huwag kalimutan mag-like at mag-share ng video na ito sa mga gusto mong matuto din mag-review nitong 8 stages of life. Ano pa ang isa pang column na nandito sa librong reference natin, Healing the 8 Stages of Life by Matthew Lin S.J., Dennis Lin, and Sheila Fabricant. Ang ganda-ganda ng librong ito. Ang sinasabi na meron daw radius of significant relations ang bawat stage. Siyempre, magsisimula yung infancy, ang maternal person, usually mama, no? Ang mama. And then parental persons naman, early childhood. Basic family naman sa play age. Neighborhood and school sa school age. Adolescence, lalabas na, di ba? Lumabas na ng bahay. May peer groups na, may out groups na, may models na of leadership. Kaya critical itong ages 12 to 18, kung sino sinusundan nila. And then yung adulthood naman, partner in friendship, sex, competition, and cooperation. Adulthood naman, divided labor and shared household. Sa old age naman, humankind or my kind. Bago natin pag-usapan itong 7th and 8th, no, mas maiging we'll end the day with the word of the Lord. And so, I'll be reading to you the gospel and my reflection. Today is October 22, Friday, 29th week in Ordinary Time, the feast of Saint John Paul II, Pope. Siya yung patron ng mga youth, no, ng mga youth. Di kaya dapat itong binasa, no? Binasa pero ngayon ang kanyang kapistahan eh. Kaya good evening sa lahat ng mga youth na nakikinig ngayon. Siya kasi ang nag-institute din ng World Youth Day, no? Na nangyayari usually sa iba't ibang lugar, at ang mga uma-attend nito ay hindi lang mga Katoliko, even mga atheist na mga curious, ano bang meron sa World Youth Day? So ito ay isang gathering na hanggang ngayon ay nangyayari pa rin. So from World Youth Day, ang mga pumupunta doon, nag-e-echo sila sa National Youth Day, no? For example, sa Pilipinas, bumababa sa Diocesan Youth Day or Archdiocesan Youth Day, bumababa sa parokya, Parish Youth Day, or sa Chapel Youth Day or GKK Youth Day. Ayan. Yan ang nakakamiss eh. Yan ang nakakamiss. And sana nga, sa next na World Youth Day, wala na ang pandemic para mas marami na naman ang maka-attend. So, St. John Paul II, pray for us. I'd like to suggest to you a YouTube, no? Napakagandang pelikula yan. Panoorin ninyo, type nyo lang, St. John Paul or John Paul II. No? The Gospel is from Luke chapter 12, verses 54 to 59. Jesus said to the crowds, "When you see a cloud rising in the west, you say immediately that it is going to rain. And so it does. And when you notice that the wind is blowing from the south, you say that it is going to be hot. And so it is. You hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and the sky. Why do you not know how to interpret the present time? Why do you not judge for yourselves what is right? If you are to go with your opponent before a magistrate, make an effort to settle the matter on the way. Otherwise, your opponent will turn you over to the judge, and the judge hand you over to the constable, and the constable throw you into prison. I say to you, you will not be released until you have paid the last penny." Pag, lalo na ngayon umuulan, kung sa Bisaya pa, kung nagadagom, kung maitim ang ulap, alam na natin kung ano ang dadalhin natin. Nagdadala tayo ng payong. Kasi alam natin, pag maitim ang ulap, ang kasunod niyan ay kulog, kidlat, at ulan. Ganun tayo, di ba? Nararamdaman natin kasi nakikita natin. So, that's how we prepare. Nagdadala tayo ng raincoat or di kaya ay payong. Yan sinasabi ni Jesus na hipokrito itong crowd na ito kasi minsan na-exaggerate, kumbaga sobra naman tayo maka-interpret minsan na ang basic na pangangailangan ng ating kapwa ay hindi natin nakikita. Pero kung maka-judge tayo sa mga sa iba, no, sa mga pangyayari, ang bilis nating maka-interpret. No? In today's gospel, Jesus tells us to interpret the present time. The more familiar way of saying this is to read the signs of times. Marami nga nagsasabi sa mga pangyayari ngayon ng pandemic, calamities, ito na daw ang uh, times of the signs na sinasabi. No? I'd like you to read more about this, Matthew 16, verse 3. In Vatican Council II and in many ways, over the past 50 years, the Church has often spoken about the signs of the times, the lights and shadows of our days. Sabi nga raw, ang pandemic ay for sure naman hindi ito maglalas, no? Mawawala ito. Wala naman kasing pandemic na nagtatagal, nagsistay forever. Every 100 years nga raw na-experience ang pandemic. Kaya maging hopeful tayo, maging hopeful tayo. The Church has always had the duty of scrutinizing the signs of the times and of interpreting them in the light of the gospel. Thus, in language intelligible to each generation, she can respond to the perennial questions which men ask about things or this present life and the life to come, and about the relationship of the one to the other. We must therefore recognize and understand the world in which we live, its explanations, its longings, and its often dramatic characteristics. Sana din ay maging sensitive tayo sa pangangailangan, hindi lang ng ating kapwa-tao, pati ng ating mundo. Lalong-lalo na ang ating kapaligiran. Ayan, ang pangalawa ko na mga reflection ay yung nasa pangalawang paragraph, why do you not judge for yourselves what is right? Kapag alam mo na may kalaban ka, as early as possible o may galit sa'yo, may galit ang isang tao sa'yo, mag-apologize ka na. Sino sila? Ito yung brothers and sisters natin. Sino-sino sila? Sa bahay, asawa natin, tatay natin, nanay natin, mga kapatid natin. No? Huwag na natin hintayin na doon tayo sa korte magkikita. Baka hindi na siya masusolve basta-basta. Diba? Gagastos pa tayo. So yung pride, no, papababa. Huwag nating hayaan na ang pride ang mananaig sa ating mga relasyon, lalong-lalo na ngayong pandemic, dahil sino ba naman tutulungan? Hindi ba tayo din? Sana meron tayong natutunan sa ating gospel reflection. Again, mula yan kay Luke chapter 12, verses 54 to 59. Ayan. Gusto ko lang magbigay din ng background sa ating saint of the day, na si Saint John Paul II. Born Karol Joseph Wojtyla on May 18, 1920 sa Poland. Ang early life naman ni John Paul or Saint John Paul was marked by the loss of his mother when he was still 9 years old and his older brother and father by age 21. Ayan, napakahirap, di ba? Lumaki ng walang parents o walang by the loss of his mother and his older brother and father by age 21. Walang parents, walang mama, and then papa. No? He studied philosophy in Krakow's Jagiellonan University and was active in theater groups. Artistahin ito, artista. The Nazi occupation of Poland closed the university in 1939, and itong si Karol had to work in a quarry to earn a living. In 1942, he entered the clandestine seminary of Krakow, where he was ordained in 1946. No? So, isang artista ay naging pare at naging pare. Karol was appointed bishop and then Archbishop of Krakow sa Poland and was considered one of the church leading thinkers and contributors to Vatican II. He was made cardinal in 1967 by Pope Paul VI. On October 16, 1978, Karol was elected the 263rd successor of Peter, 263rd, becoming the first non-Italian pope in more than 400 years. Ayan. His inauguration was on October 22. And that's why we are remembering today's inauguration, which is now the date of his feast day. As Pope John Paul II demonstrated his deep love for the young, mentioned ko kanina, the poor, the sick, the marginalized, and those persecuted for their faith through many and tireless journeys throughout the world. His deep love and dedication to prayer and to our Blessed Mother was clearly evident in his journey. Pope John Paul II died on April 2, 2005, and was canonized on Divine Mercy Sunday, April 27, 2014, by Pope Francis. May napansin ba kayo? Hindi ba kalimitan ng mga Santo Papa o mga santo, no, nagfifiesta on the day of his or her death, no, yung first day na pagpasok niya sa langit, birthday niya sa heaven. Pero sa kanya, yung kanyang inauguration, no, inauguration bilang Santo Papa. Palagay ko, nangyari ito o na-recognize ito dahil nga sa tagal ng kanyang service. No? If I'm not mistaken, 24 years of his life. No? Ang dami-dami niyang, most traveled pope, ang dami-dami niyang mga napuntahan na mga lugar. Buong mundo, naikot na niya. In fact, dito sa Pilipinas, di ba, remember the song, Tell the World of His Love, di ba? 1995 and then 1981. No? Again, if my memory serves me right. Ayan, at least, may inspire sana tayo sa kanyang mga nagawa, sa kanyang mga ginawa, na tayo din ay maglulong. Bakit hindi, no? We are temporary residents of this earth, pilgrims, no? Temporary lang tayo dito sa mundo, and as one church, as our church, the Catholic Church is celebrating 500 years of Christianity, let us always remember that we have saints in heaven. There is heaven, there can be saints, no? Live in holiness. Yan ang call sa atin. Ito pa, dagdag pa na reflection for the gospel. What inner attitudes challenge me to purify my inner responses to those who hurt me? How does my inner being relate to St. John Paul II's saying? Ito yung saying niya. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Ang dami natin minsan gustong gawin, pero hindi kaya ng katawan. As I accept my sin condition, how can I discover the power of Jesus' boundless mercy and love for me? So, huwag kalimutan, intercession of St. John Paul II, lalong-lalo na sa mga panahon na tayo ay natitempt at para napakahirap mag-no, no? And dahil mahirap mag-no, nadadagdagan ng ating mga kasalanan. It's now 8:48 at patuloy kayong nanonood sa Hearts That Listen kasama si Doc Cheng dito sa Talk Life channel. Like and share this to your friends, to your timeline, and let us spread the good things, no, that we are talking about. Tonight, again, we are closing the healing 8 stages of life. Pag-uusapan natin, ano itong adulthood, age 36 to 65. I believe yung mga nanonood ngayon nasa ganitong bracket. And old age naman, above or after 65 years old. Good evening kay Ate Loretta. Oo nga, kahit wala si Jhong, natuloy. Congratulations kay Jhong kasi napili siya ng parokya bilang isa sa maging part ng pre-synod team. Kasi merong synod, itong gathering of bishops na mangyayari 2 years from now, no? So 2023. So the church is preparing from below, no, from the grassroots level, may mga consultations na mangyayari, akyat sa parokya, and then iakyat doon sa taas, sa Archdiocese of Manila. Everything will be collected, and then saka bibit-bitin doon sa gathering of bishops. Kakaiba ito ngayon dahil sa panahon ni Pope Francis, gusto niyang marinig ano ba ang gustong sabihin, ano ba ang mga nilalaman ng utak, ng isip, ng puso ng mga tao, especially that ang mga i-interviewin, ang mga sasali sa consultation ay yung mga hindi active sa simbahan, yung mga hindi nagsisimba na, yung mga hindi na lumalapit o hindi na baptized as Catholics but hindi na nag-a-avail ng mga sakramento. Tatanungin bakit? Great evenings sa iyo, Leo. And then kay Arwin, good evening din. Thank you, Mirasol Tabanao, for watching. Hi, Queenie. Oo. Si Jhong naman ay okay na. Kaya nagmi-meeting siya. I'd like to thank you for praying for him. Ayun na, hyper na siya. Kaya lang may meeting nga sa pre-synod. Okay? Paki-share, Queenie, itong video na to your followers also. Alam ko marami ka ring followers. Okay? So tayo ay handa na para sa ating next na stage. And this is the seventh stage, adulthood, age 36 to 65. Psychological crisis ay generativity versus stagnation. Virtue ay care. And then, radius of significant relations naman, divided labor and shared household. So, yung responsibility sa ganitong edad ay hindi na kagaya nung sa youth, no? Banjing-banjing. Pero ito ngayon ay seryoso na. Kasi dito, kalimitan sa itong edad, 36, ay malalaki. Lumalaki na ang mga anak, no? Elementary, iba naman high school. Okay? Ako ay nandito sa edad na ito. Alright, may isa akong kwento about adulthood, itong generativity versus stagnation. May dalawang magkakapatid. And from time to time, sila ay nag-harvest na grains. And so, magkatabi ang kanilang bahay. Tapos, merong isang bahay yung storage nila. So, ang isang kapatid ay may asawa, may mga anak. Ang isa naman ay single. Ang single ay gabi-gabi, hindi niya pinapaalam sa kanyang kapatid na may maraming anak na naglalagay siya, marami siyang harvest, syempre, naglalagay siya sa storage ng kanyang kapatid ng grains, no? Maraming nilalagay. Kasi sa utak niya, kawawa naman itong kapatid ko, feeling ko hindi naman fair ang aming sharing. So, kailangan dagdagan ko ang kanyang share kasi nga, marami siyang anak. Ang hindi niya alam, ang kapatid din niya na isa, ay pumupunta din sa storage every night para dagdagan din, no, ang kanyang ang share ng kanyang kapatid. Kasi sa utak niya, no, kawawa naman ang kapatid ko, walang pamilya, walang mga anak, pagkatapos ano nang kakainin niya kung sa kanyang pagtanda. So kailangan ngayon pala mag-imbak na ako ng marami. Bibigyan ko na siya ng marami. And so one night, what happened one night, ay nag-abot sila doon sa storage facility. And they discovered what each has been doing in the past nights, no? And they hug each other and they discovered that love, no? The story is that, then one night they met each other halfway, sabi sa kwento, between their two houses, suddenly realized what had been happening and embraced each other in love. The story is that God witnessed their meeting and proclaimed, "This is a holy place, a place of love, and here it is that my temple shall be built." And so it was. The holy place where God is made known to His people is the place where human beings discover each other in love. Ito ay mula kay Belden C. Lane ng Rabbi Michael Stories. Ayan. Naalala niyo si Gandhi? Si Gandhi, ang sabi ni Erickson, this period is the period of, or the stage of generativity, and he places it approximately 35 to age 65. Na bakit ko na-mention kanina si Gandhi? Kasi si Gandhi ang ginawang model of generativity ni model of care pala ni Erickson. Ano nga pala nangyari kay Gandhi, lalong-lalo na sa mga hindi nakakilala kay Gandhi. Okay? Mahatma Gandhi. Meron din pelikula ito and his gift of generative care. To win independence from British na sumakop sa India in his time, naisip niya na non-violence, kagaya na nangyari sa atin, diba, People Power Revolution, non-violence, we prayed really for peace. Sabi niya, non-violence is based upon care and inner strength, no? It is the most powerful form of resistance. Gusto niya ang British will leave India. But he wanted that before they part, no, kailangan friends, magkaibigan. And so it happened, no? He succeeded. In 1946, the British left peacefully and granted India independence. However, umalis na ang British, wala nang colonizer, Yung nagkakaisang Indians naman, sila ang nag-separate na naman, no? Hindus at saka Muslims. Itong si Gandhi, no? They compete or they began to compete for political power. Itong si Gandhi himself, a Hindu, believed the most truly powerful Hindu response would be to freely give away government offices to the Muslims. Dili siya gustong samok, ayaw niya ng away. So hindi para walang away, ang sabi niya, ang suggestion niya, sige na, ibigay na lang sa Muslim ang government offices. But, yung mga sumusunod sa kanya ay hindi sumang-ayon sa kanya. And so, ano nangyari? The Civil War broke out, no, between Hindus and Muslims. So imagine the Indians who had peacefully defeated the British were now killing each other. No, ang hirap. Broken-hearted, heartbroken, no, si Gandhi, and he declared a fast and vowed not to eat until the killing stopped. Sabi niya, hanggat hindi natatapos ang patayan, hindi ako kakain. So, nag-declare siya ng fasting. Naalala ko nung pumunta ako ng India, hindi sila nagsusuot ng maong. Kumbaga, walang western touch. No? National costume ang suot ng mga babae at lalaki. It was in Kerala. No? At si Gandhi lagi ang minimension nila, model of care. No? A group of Hindus come to visit him. So may bumisita sa kanya ng mga Hindus. And a young man pushes him through the crowd. His wild eyes are full of despair and anger, and he throws a piece of bread on Gandhi's bed and yells. Nagalit na sila kasi alam na nila, hindi ito kakain ng, kung itong leader namin ay hindi kakain, mamamatay ito. No? Sabi nung Hindu man, eat, I am already going to hell and I don't want your death on my soul too. Sabi ni Gandhi, why are you going to hell? Bakit ka nang pupunta sa impyerno? Sabi niya, because I killed my child. The Muslims killed my son, and so I killed one of the children. I smashed its head against a wall. Sabi ni Gandhi, I know a way out of hell. Find a Muslim child the same age as your son, whose parents have been killed in this war. Adopt the child and raise him as your own, but be sure you raise him as a Muslim. So parang lumapit siya sa isang pare at nangumpisal sa kanyang kasalanan tapos nagbigay ng absolution, no? Ganun din ang ginawa ni Gandhi sa kanya, no? Sabi niya, nakapatay ako ng bata, no? The Muslim killed my son and so ako din, no? Sabi niya, naghiganti ako, no? Naghiganti ako sa kanila. So very guilty ang taong ito. Pero sabi ni Gandhi, para maibsan naman ang iyong despair, napaka-desperate niya, napakalungkot niya, guilty, mag-adapt ka. Kagaya na nangyayari ngayon sa isang lugar abroad, hindi ba, na may gera, no? Tapos ang daming gustong pumunta sa iba't ibang lugar. Ang iba nasa Amerika, may planong ang Pilipinas na mag-adapt, hindi ba? Ito naman, ang sabi ni Gandhi, mag-adapt ka ng bata na Muslim. Raise him as a Muslim. Para bang sinasabi na, repair your sins, reparation of sins. And then this man collapses on Gandhi's bed. Gandhi lays his hand on the man's head as if pronouncing absolution. Sabi ko kanina, when the man rises, the wildness has left his eyes and he lives peacefully. This scene from Gandhi's life illustrates what Erickson means by generativity and care. No? Generativity includes care for others beyond one's family. Nandiyan naman, hindi ba? Lumalabas ang ating motherly care, no? Kapag mga ganyang edad, 36 years old and above. For future generations, nag-iisip na tayo, what can I leave to future generations? And so we start to take good care of not only our family members, but our mga kapitbahay, no? Neighbors, mga estudyante natin, mga kasama natin sa trabaho. We begin to care. Kasi nga, sabi ko nga, most of us, sa youth pa tayo na age, banjing-banjing, and then nung bata pa tayo naman ang inaalagaan. Ganda ng buhay, di ba? Parang cycle na din. Dati ikaw ang inaalagaan, ngayon ikaw naman ang mag-aalaga. Alright, sige. For future, and as the Talmud says, three things one should do in the course of one's life: have a child, plant a tree, and write a book. Although a common way of generativity is through parenting children, other ways other ways include the roles of teacher and mentor, or any other way of creating life and passing it on. Example, another story, si Matt and si Dennis, at saka yung author, generate life through giving retreats and writing books. Si Matt at saka si Dennis, itong authors ng librong ito, by living in a Jesuit formation community and supporting younger Jesuits preparing for priesthood as si Sheila, no? By visiting Matt and Dennis' community and relating to them in ways that model healthy celebrate friendship for the younger men. Although the three of us do not have biological children, kasi nga celebrate sila, we find other ways of passing on our life and its meaning to the next generation. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang pala sa pagkakaroon ng anak, nagiging meaningful ang edad ang buhay ng mga nasa ganitong edad, 35 to 65 years old. Yung iba nga, may nakilala ako na wala silang anak or nagkaanak sila pero namatay. Ang pinalit naman sa kanila doon ng Panginoon ay napakadaming, kasi dalawa silang teacher, no? Ay napakaraming mga estudyante na later on ay itinuring na silang nanay at tatay. Ang iba nga ay nasa kanilang bahay na lumaki. No? Nag-adapt sila. As in 12 children, isa-isa. Most of them were the students before. Ayan. So walang biological children, pero pwede pa rin maging meaningful ang buhay, lalong-lalo na in preparation for the next generation. When we take good care of children today, we are taking good care pala of the next generation. Yan, tandaan natin yan. Saludo ako hindi lang sa mga madre na nag-aalaga ng mga bata, pati na din sa lahat ng nasa orphanages, yung mga staff, foster parents, volunteers, di ba? Para sa inyo, I'd like to dedicate this program to you. Ayan. Confronting inner darkness during this time, nandito din daw sa age range na ito ang sinatawag na midlife crisis. Sabi nga ng isa din, ang crisis daw ay nangyayari hindi lang midlife, no? Kapag nawalan ka ng minamahal sa buhay at any age, nagka-crisis tayo, di ba? Naniniwala ka ba doon? As adults in the stage of generativity seek to pass on life to the next generation, they may find themselves asking, what do I really have to pass on? Ano ba yung gusto kong ipasa sa next generation? Ano ba yung gusto kong legacy when I leave Earth? Ano ba yung gusto kong legacy? Naalala ko talaga yung isang kaibigan na ang dami niyang gustong gawin pa, no? At age 63, gusto niyang mag-travel all over the world. Ang dami niya pang gustong gawin. Yung mga na-miss out niya kasi nga raw masyado siya nag-concentrate sa kanyang trabaho, no? Sa kanyang trabaho. As they try to answer this question, they may discover in themselves not generativity, but what Erickson describes as its alternative, stagnation. Ano naman itong stagnation? Ito yung feeling of having forfeited my contribution to life in my age, a contribution that would have been handed down to future generations. Yung parang, I should have done this, I should have done that. Parang feeling niya may kulang pa, na hindi pa fulfilled. Nandiyan na siya sa ganyang edad, pero ang dami niya pa palang dapat nagawa in the past. At ito yung sensitive na rin tayo, hindi lang sa pangangailangan ng iba, kundi gusto natin yung attention din ng iba, hindi ba? Kasi like at age 50 years old, most of the time, ang couples nito, empty na ang nest. Ibig sabihin, wala nang mga anak sa kanilang piling. Kaya, balik sila, no? Balik sila sa kanyang asawa. I mean, sila na parang babalik sila sa panahon na wala pa silang anak. At dito nangyayari yung mga I should have done this, I should have done that. Sana ganito ang gagawin natin, sana tayo ay nag-travel, sana ay ganito kasi nga lalo na pag ang pamilya ay sinimula ng hindi pa napapanahon. Kumbaga wala sa oras, kumbaga dahil nabuntis ang babae, kailangan pakasalan na o kumbaga sa Bisaya pa naahat ang pagminyo, no? Hindi na planuhan ng mabuti kaya lumalabas yan at this age. No? Kasi nga maraming plano pero meron ng mga bata hindi na makatravel, hindi na magawa ang gusto, hindi na makapagtrabaho. Kumbaga ang professional growth ay napigilan dahil nga nandiyan na yung mga bata. Okay? Pero hindi naman ibig sabihin ito na pagsisihan. Nag-enjoy naman ang karamihan sa pagiging nanay at tatay. A crisis of meaning may occur as adults like the heartbroken Gandhi discover stagnation in their lives and begin to think, I had these dreams and they never got fulfilled. I'm not doing the things I really want to do. I'm just one on a treadmill, keeping in motion but not receiving life or giving it. I haven't put my stamp on anything. Time and energy are running out. I have to take a different direction or my life will continue hollow and empty. Yung emptiness is sinasabi. And this search for a deeper and more meaningful way of living often involves a confrontation with inner darkness as it did for Gandhi. Pare-pareho talaga ang emosyon ng mga tao, di ba? May masayang pangyayari sa buhay, merong malungkot. Sabi nga, life is like a rosary that is full of mystery. Dumadaan tayo sa panahon ng pagiging masaya, joyful mysteries. And then, nagiging malungkot, sorrowful mysteries. And then, na-enlighten tayo. Kaya, nandun na tayo sa glorious. No? 4 na. Si St. John Paul II pa rin ang nag-introduce ng Mysteries of Life. Rosary Month, October. Ang galing ng inserts, hindi ba? Alright. Ano pa? Gandhi's life became an example for the entire world of what Erickson means by generativity at yung virtue na care. No? Even in the midst of his own crisis of meaning, Gandhi still tried to pass on life and be a mentor for the next generation. Yan. Kaya pa ba natin na-absorb pa ba natin, no? A Divine Mercy Pope, tama si Ate Aida, si Coach Jhong II. Tell the world of his love, theme song yan, Doc Cheng ng World Youth Day 1995. We were there with Pope John Paul II, si Queenie. Kaya malalim ang ni Queenie, malalim ang kanyang pagmamahal sa simbahan. May ugat na, nakaugat, especially inspired by Pope John Paul II. Deng Tuazon, good evening. Saw him sa Rojas Boulevard 1995. Nag-start ako sa parokya 1994 eh. Sabi ko sa mga ate at kuya ko, bakit sila busy? Saan sila pupunta? Sa Manila pala. Sayang, hindi ko naabutan. Pero nakita ko si Pope Francis sa Tacloban. Ganun na lang. Sana ako pupunta ng langit para makita ko na ni St. John Paul II. Okay. Arwin, St. John Paul II came here twice in 1981 and 1995 when he was our Pope. Tama ako. Good evening everyone. Good evening Eva. Good afternoon. Good evening. Patuloy tayo sa pag-share at pag-type ng inyong comments. Kumusta kayo sa stage na ito as adulthood stage, 5 years old to age 65. Ano yung mga hindi ninyo malilimutang sandali or ang Miss Universe na lang na tanong ito. If you are to leave Earth, what would be your legacy? Ano ang gusto mong iiwan sa mundo for the next generation? Okay? Na napakaganda legacy na iyong ginagawa. Maybe pinaghahandaan mo sa ngayon. At napaisip naman ako, nga no, ano nga bang iiwanan ko sa mundo? Service to the church, service towards the youth and the kids, the care, pag-iisipan ko. Ikaw, at TLC, Tender Loving Care, ikaw na nanonood ngayon dito sa Talk Life channel, what would you like to be as your legacy before leaving this earth? Because as I've said earlier, temporary residence lang tayo sa mundo. Ano ang gusto mong iiwan dito sa mundo para ikaw ay maalala man lang? Okay? And so, napag-usapan natin ano yung mga crisis natin na pwedeng harapin, no? Hinaharap ng isang adult, no? So, balikan ko lang, Adulthood, ang crisis ay generativity versus stagnation, ang virtue ay care, and radius of significant relations, divided labor, and shared household. Ayan. We have 10 minutes more to go at punta na tayo sa pinaka-last na stage of life, sa 8th stage of life na bago ang pupunta nga pala sa each stage of life, mahalaga malaman how to heal, no? How to heal the memories that we had during adulthood, 35 to 65 years old. Kung ikaw naman ay mga siguro 66 up to like 100, 120 years old now. Ayan ang lifespan ng tao. Sabi nga, biblically, 70 years old ang lifespan, 80 if strong. Wow. Okay. Prayer of releasing another, sometimes when we intercede for another, that person is already too entwined around our heart and we become drained. Then we need not to enter her world more, but rather to release her. The release prayer is important for me, for the author, because after she lovingly pray with another, she can become a burden bearer, wanting to do more for a person than I can do. So sinasabi sa atin dito na hindi naman kailangan ay absorb mo lahat ng kanyang problema, no? Share in the suffering and pray with one another, no? Discerning. Yan. Pray with one another. Ito yung iiwan ko before we go to the last. Recall the moment in your life when you felt the most loved, no? When you most wanted to say yes to life. Re-experience that moment and whatever was said or done that made you feel so loved. Breathe that love into yourself again, and with it, the longing to say yes to any place in life where you can give and receive love and pass on life to others. Kailan yung punto sa buhay mo na naramdaman mo that you were so loved? No, yung bang kinikilig ka, hindi lang kinikilig, pero naramdaman mo na ang daming nagmamahal sa'yo. Letter B, as you look forward to the rest of this year, patapos na, 2 months to go na lang, get in touch with the way Jesus may be calling you to give life in a new situation. Hindi pa huli ang lahat. Tell Jesus anything that makes you feel hesitant about this new situation. As you picture the new situation, breathe into it the power to say yes or no to it in whatever way Jesus is leading you. Diba? Healing of the past memories. Negative memories. Ang laging sinasabi dito sa libro ay close your eyes, recall the good memories, at kung meron mang negative memories, papasukin mo si Jesus because I know, they know, if you are sad, that time, malungkot ka that time, malungkot din ang Diyos. At kapag ikaw ay nasasaktan that time, or galit, nagagalit din, galit din ang Diyos. You have somebody, merong somebody in heaven who shares the same sentiment with you. Old age naman ay, ang crisis ay integrity versus despair. Bakit kaya? No, bakit kaya integrity? Recently, some friends of my parents died, sabi ng author. Sabi ni Dennis. When Dennis asked if their friends were old, ang parents daw niya responded, no, they were only in their early 70s. As my parents got older, sabi niya, he noticed that their criteria for old age changes. His parents and others living in Erickson's final stage, ito yung 65 years old or older, may be happy to find out that Erickson calls his final stage not only old age, but also the age of integrity or the age of wisdom. Ayan. Pag-usapan natin sa ating pagbabalik, we'll take a break. How can anyone choose wisdom in a concentration camp? May kwento ako dito sa inyo. And then, ano yung gagawin, no? When you are old, when you are at this age, how are you going to reminisce the positive memories? And how are you going to give thanks for a life?
Magandang araw po mga ka-TLC. Inaanyayahan ko po kayo
dito po sa bagong show na gagawin po dito sa TLC, Instant Hotel Ed. Magsisimula po ito sa Oktubre 16, alas 5 hanggang alas 6. Lunes, Miyerkules at Sabado. Tatalakayin ko po rito kung ano po ba ang business industry. Tatalakayin ko rin po rito at magbibigay din po ako ng mga suggestion and idea kung paano po makakakuha ng trabaho sa business hotel industry. At dito rin po, magbibigay po ako ng pre-employment idea dun po sa mga gustong sumakay ng barko all over the world. At dito rin po, ibibigay kong libreng-libre ang pre-cooking show para po dun sa mga ina na gusto pong makapagluto ng yummy food at healthy food para po sa inyong mga kids. Ito po muli, ang inyong Coach Ed na nagsasabing, minsan lang po ang buhay, gawin po nating makulay, wag na po nating dagdagan ang mga problema natin sa pang-araw-araw na buhay natin sa mundong ito. Hanggang sa muli po, sama-sama sa TLC.
Yan. We only have 5 minutes to go. At ito na nga tayo sa pinaka-last stage of life, ang old age. Integrity versus despair. May kwento dito sa concentration camp, no? Yung panahon ng mga Nazi. Si Wild, pangalan niya ay Wild Bill, isang prisoner na bago pa man siya kinulong ay pinatay ang kanyang mga anak, ang kanyang anak na lalaki, babae, ang kanyang wife. At sabi niya sa mga sundalo, isali mo na din ako, patayin mo na din ako. Pero hindi siya pinakinggan kasi magaling siya. Isa siyang lawyer, very good interpreter. At so, dinala siya sa concentration camp. Ang nangyari sa kanya ay siya ang taga-reconcile kapag may mga nag-aaway-away. Hindi ba? Different languages kasi ang nandoon. No, people of different languages. Kaya siya ang ginawang interpreter. Kaya ang nangyayari ay, sabi niya, yes, I was desperate, but I have to, no? Sabi niya, I have to decide whether to hate the soldiers or to love the people that I come in contact with every day. So tayo, nasa atin ang desisyon if we want to love or to hate. If we want to despair, no? All the days, if we want to spend our lives, our remaining days on earth na ganon, desperado, or instead of being desperate, we will shift no into integrity or wisdom and wisdom. Ito integrity ko, anong sinasabi mo, yun ang, kung anong ginagawa mo, yun ang sinasabi mo. At kung anong sinasabi mo, yun ang ginagawa mo. No? So, ang ganda niyang kanyang kwento at yun na nga, hashtag sana all. What do I need to do before I die? Sabi naman na isang question dito. Sabi niya, what do I need to do before I die? The more meaning our remaining life will have. So, it is never too late to change life's direction. Ayan. So, tatanong tayo, ano kayang pwede kong gawin bago ako kukunin ni Lord, bago ako magre-report kay San Pedro at kay Lord, no? Magbago for the better. Meron kasing pagbabago na hindi for the better, like nagbago, dati isang sigarilyo, hinihit-hit, ngayon naman ay isang pack na sigarilyo. So, di ba, nagbago din. Nag-improve, but not for the better. Yan, example lang yan. Last two, reminiscing with positive memories. No? Alam natin at this age, no, nagre-reminisce na tayo, what happened, makwento ang ganitong edad. So, nangangailangan din sila ng mga taong nakikinig sa kanila. Kasi nga, they have accumulated wisdom and integrity, nandyan sa kanila, no? Nandyan sa kanila. And so, if you want to know, if you want to live life meaningfully, you talk to them, make kwento, no? Makipagkwentuhan tayo sa mga ganitong edad na. Okay. And lastly, giving thanks now for a lifetime because wisdom comes from giving thanks. We can enjoy wisdom long before old age. Huwag na nating hintayin actually na kailangan ganitong edad ko, mag 70 years old muna ako bago ako mag-mature sa buhay at magkaroon ng karunungan o wisdom, no? Sana kahit na tayo ay young person pa o nasa edad pa ng early adulthood, no? Sana ay magkaroon tayo ng mga pagkakataon, yung bang mas marami nawa ang mga time to be silent, to commune with nature, and to see things differently in a very different perspective. Kung dati ay grabe tayo kung makareact sa mga sitwasyon, ngayon naman pwede siguro mag-slow down a bit naman tayo. Especially sa panahon ng pandemic, stay at home tayo, binibigyan tayo ng maraming oras ng Panginoon to think about what really happened in the past. No? Gaano tayo bongga, ka-extravagant dati kung tayo ay mamili at nakikita natin ngayon kung ano yung priority sa buhay, kung ano ang basic needs sa buhay. Ayan, huwag kalimutan, magpasalamat, and remember, integrity is so important. Integrity beyond death. Kung may legacy man tayo iniiwan sa next generation, yan ay ating pagbabago for the better. At yung sinabi ko kanina, kung anong sasabihin, siya din gagawin. Being a role model, especially for the young people. So, the moment that we care for them today, we also care for the next generation. Naging colorful, naging meaningful ang ating pagsasama, no? I believe nakatatlong buwan kami ni Jhong, August, September, and then this month of October. Ito na po ang final episode No, one quarter episode ng ating Hearts That Listen kasama si Team Jeng. Hopefully in the future magbabalik kami, but meantime, we have to attend to certain things lang na mahalaga din sa aming buhay para kami din ay magkaroon pa ng wisdom at lumago pa, especially in our life being a couple. Pray for us as we pray for you. Yan. Maging mabuti tayong leader sa bahay, sa eskwelahan, sa simbahan, at kahit saan man tayo dalhin. Yan ay ating misyon sa buhay. Become a good servant leader. Sa ngalan ni Jhong, ang aking husband, ako si Dr. Cheng Bilog Magdaheren ng Magdaheren Bilog Research and Training Consultancy. Bisitahin niyo yan sa Facebook if you want team buildings, if you want business plan, drafting, no? Yan. Yan ang pangalan ng Facebook page, Magdaheren Bilog Research and Training Consultancy. Medyo mahaba nga lang, pero ako nga, MVRTC sinasabi ko. Nandun yung aming mga activities and some modules that we can give you. And then, para sa palengke goods naman, may Jeng's Food Delivery Services naman tayo sa mga ayaw lumabas, sa mga hindi makalabas at gustong magpa-deliver ng palengke goods, lalo na sa kanilang mga bahay. Yan din ang pangalan, Jeng's Food Davao City sa Facebook page. Maraming salamat sa bumubuo ng Talk Life Channel. God bless, suportahan natin lalong-lalo na ang mga programa dito sa Talk Life Channel at ipagdasal natin ang kaluluwa ng isang anchor na bago lang, no, lumisan sa mundo, si Des. Maraming salamat. Ako si Cheng at ito ang Hearts That Listen.